Welcome back to the ADI Part 1 podcast with me, Josh Holleran.
Me, Craig Breedy.
Craig, what are we going to be discussing in today's episode?
We today are discussing two of my favorite books. I mean, who would come along to this podcast and think today is going to be a book club? Nobody I was going to think this, but we've got a bit of a book club going on today. And I've chosen two books, which I think anybody watching this, preparing for their part one, are really going to love. So let me introduce them. I've got a copy each of them here, and we have Know Your Traffic Signs and if I can just get the other one to come up, The Highway Code. These two publications will cost you less than a tenner. In fact, this one you can actually get online for free. And this one you can get online for free as well. So in actual fact, for the bargain price of 0 pence, you'll be able to read these two publications. And why are they important? Well, the Highway Code is basically everybody's contract to drive. That's the way I view it. If every single driver had a copy of the Highway Code and was typed to sign in the back and agree to the rules and regulations contained within it, and then send that back to the DVLA, that would be their contract to drive. Because let's face it, when we pass our driving test, that is exactly what we are saying. We are signing a piece of paper to accept our license, but also to say that we'll abide by the rules and the Highway Code. And also those signs in Know Your Traffic Signs as well. So as an ADI, you are going to need to know exactly as much of that content as you possibly can. I would say all of that content. There's so much information in there. Now, the plot's a bit thin, I'm not going to lie. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end, but it can be a bit dull and boring. So when you're going through the Highway Code, you could try reading or setting yourself a goal of maybe reading 10 rules a day. So to help you with that, the Highway Code people have very nicely put every number into a little blue circle. You can use a pencil. And what I found really useful for me was when I was reading it, I'd set my goal of 10 a day. And some are short. Those are the good days, but some are quite long. Those are the bad days. But read them and understand them. Put a little tick next to it and the date that you read it. Just do it in pencil. Go through the whole book. And once you've finished, bask in your glory for 5 minutes and start all over again. All right. Because it's no good just reading it once and hoping that you're going to keep that knowledge. Okay. Now, what you could do after you've done a first read through is perhaps go and do a mock test on the theory test, because then you'll get a bit of an understanding as to how much you've actually learned. In fact, why not do a mock test before you even read the book? That way you'll know what you need to revise and what you don't. But once you've read it a second time, let's see if your knowledge is improving and start writing down some of the questions that you're consistently getting wrong. So that's the Highway Code. Now, the Know Your Traffic Signs is excellent. I mean, what do you like about Know Your Traffic Signs, Josh?
I like the pretty colourful shapes, Craig.
You like, have you got a favorite shape? I mean, this is beginning to sound like play school now, but do you have a favorite shape?
Triangles. And if anyone knows my hobby and pastime, triangles are a key thing in there, but we're not gonna go down that route of talking about triangles. If you want to find out what I get up to in my spare time,
I
find me
reckon
on my
you're a
Facebook.
percussionist in the local brass band.
Um, but yeah, the shapes, and you know what? I I'll be brave enough to say I didn't know that the different shapes meant different things until I was already qualified. I thought looking through the books that I had to remember what every sign meant, every triangle, every circle. And then as a driving instructor, I learned, wait a minute, triangles are giving us a warning. Circles are giving us an order. And even better than that, for well, I don't know who controls the signs, DVSA, whoever it is, they've done quite well because they've color coded them as well. So different colors mean different things. And I hadn't learnt that until I was a driving instructor. Maybe we can help some people with this, Craig, through the episode.
I think we probably will. I mean, just as a test, everybody who's watching this now, when you finish this, go and ask somebody if they know what shape a stop sign is and see what sort of answers you get back. I mean, if you really want to know the answer yourself, obviously look in Know Your Traffic Signs, but ask how many people know what shape a stop sign is. And another one that you can ask people is, what is a safe following distance in dry weather conditions? There's two questions, and see what people's answers are. You'll be shocked at what qualified drivers actually come back with. You people planning for your part one, preparing for your part two, going into your part three, need the information that's contained within these books. I'm sorry that they're a bit dull, but in actual fact, knowledge is great. I mean, you might go on Mastermind one day and this could be your specialized subject. But revising it not just once, going through and reading it, then going through reading it again and going through reading it again. I find 3 times, 3 sweeps is enough to give you a really good base knowledge, but always have a copy in the car as well. And if something happens, or if you've got 5 minutes to spare, just have a little thumb through of maybe something that's happened on the road. And the Know Your Traffic Signs one is a really important one because it doesn't just talk about traffic signs. It talks about traffic signals. It talks about the lines on the road and what they mean. It talks about the different sorts of yellow lines. It talks about red routes. You know, these are things that you might not get in the highway code. So you need to have Know Your Traffic Signs as well. I mean, I'm waxing lyrical about these 2 books. I really am. But they are to a driving instructor what mirror signal maneuver should be to our pupils. Essential. Absolutely essential. Understand them. Go get your copies now or download them for free offline.
I have my copy in the door of my car. And you know what? It comes out more times than you'd expect, because there are some questions I get asked and I'm like, wait a minute, let me double check this. Or there are other questions where they've been given a bit of information or they've seen information on social media, and I'll get the highway code out. And I also keep a copy of the DES in the back of the car. We can talk about that in a later episode. But being able to check information, make sure that it's accurate. And another part that I think is relevant for us, depending on your background, and it's something that I've considered for a while, the highway code covers first aid. Now, as driving instructors, we're on the road all day. So having just a little bit of knowledge, one, it comes up on your part one, you will be questioned on what should you do in the event of this type of collision or you come across this situation. So we need the information to get through the part one, which is one of the reasons we're here. But having a little bit of information for if we come across a casualty while we're driving. I've come across numerous collisions on the road where we've had casualties. And I'm not saying that the highway code has given me all the answers, but it's got enough in there to at least deal with something. And you will have questions on your part one about first aid.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's true. In fact, I can recall an incident that I attended where I had knowledge from the highway code. I think I just had some driver training at work or something like that. And some of these things were mentioned and it was invaluable, actually, the information that I got. So, yeah, I mean, the content within the highway code could actually save somebody's life. I mean, and that's not over exaggerating. I don't think it genuinely could. Yeah. So there you go. That's our 2 books for this episode: The Highway Code and Know Your Traffic Signs.
There we go. If you would like any more information on these books, or more importantly, you would like to have someone help you study for your ADI Part 1 test and then going on through the process, just having someone that you can ask, you can reach out to myself or Craig, or you can find us on our Facebook page or our Facebook group, and that's available at the ADI Part 1 podcast. And we might have another book club coming up soon. So stay tuned and subscribe so that you catch the next episode when it goes live. Thank you.
Thank you.